What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is the 46th episode. I've got a good friend and a fellow integrator here. I've got my friend Heather Grizzard. So, Heather, why don't you kind of kick us off? Tell us who you are, how you get into things like REI and found your way into the communities.
Yeah, so I used to be a web developer, so I was working as a like a contracted web developer back in 2023, 2024. Actually, I guess it was 2023. I ended up going, no, it was 2022. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. So I spent 3 months in Honduras in 2022, and I just enjoyed being out from behind the computer. So I got to thinking, I was like, what is a career path that I could just, hop into that I didn't have to go back to school? And I decided being a realtor. So I came back, went to realtor school, got my realtor license in summer of 2022, and ended up finding REIN, which is the Women's Real Estate Network, from my real estate manager. She had gone through like their little mini course, and so I went through that too and decided to join that community. And that was my start in real estate investing. And whatever a lot of the basics, so learned about BRRRRs and like how to make money from this. And I didn't actually do any deals, but I did end up finding Pace just through some different avenues. I think people in there were talking about him whenever it came to sub two because they were very not detailed on that strategy within that community. I was like, I don't want to do this and get into legal trouble, so I was very curious about it, and so I started following Pace. Then I joined sub two in like April 2023, and then became a TC not too long after that. That was at I first became wholesaler. Didn't do many deals because it's hard whenever you're taught as an integrator to like go out and find your visionary. And so I still wasn't like I couldn't figure out like, okay, what's the right partner for me to partner with because I don't really want to do all this myself. I don't enjoy the actual work. So then I decided to switch to TC because it felt like a very integrator-ish move because it's all like in the back end and like working with paperwork and found out I don't really like that either. I spent about 6 months in the TC world. I did not like being married to my inbox. It was just very high
Mm.
stress to me all the time. So I was like, I want something that I can be a little bit more free. So I decided to switch to being an operator for a wholesaler. I met him at Golden Ticket last year in February and worked with him for about 10 months and parted way with him in January of this year. And then I decided to completely just focus on systems, automations, AI, all that stuff, because that's actually my background. I've worked with hundreds of clients just with automations and everything through my W-2. Was also in digital marketing, so doing like email campaigns, social media campaigns, all that stuff. And yeah, so I decided, like, I guess it took that roundabout way because I really was burnout from what I had been doing before. And so, like, by taking a couple years off from that and then coming back to it completely refreshed and re-energized, then I felt like, oh yeah, this is something I'm very skilled at, something that I get excited about and can talk to, and I've networked a ton, so I actually like talking to people now. So I just talk to a ton of people about their systems all the time now.
That's so funny. Like you really did. You followed, I think, what most people would consider the integrator path. And all of those are different integrator roles, but most people just kind of lump us all into one box, right? Like you and I are clearly exactly the same, and we have all the same skill sets, and you can do my job, and I can do your job, right? Like it's just that easy.
Not so much. I don't like doing operations as much.
Yeah, and I can't stand doing systems like or the automations because I didn't have the background in that. I had friends that had the background in that, so I always helped that work out. It was just easier to do it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
But, coming from small business, like I had done things like run crews and plan routes and load trucks and organize stops. And like that is operations in a nutshell. So it made it a little bit like it just depends on what your experience is because that'll help define your second nature. But I could totally see that like there's so much crossover between Reen and Sub 2. I've had several ladies on here that were in Reen and joined Sub 2. Um, can't speak to it myself. I don't think they'd let me in even if I put a dress on, but here we are.
Yeah, I've also met several people from Marine. There's a few in Owners Club, and I actually have two business partners on one of my businesses that were in Marine, and so sometimes we'll just bring up something about it, and it's like we'll just kind of have like this inside joke, and then all the boys are like, "I don't know what you're saying."
Well, to be fair, boys don't know what y'all are saying anyway. I have to tell the girlfriend that all the time. I'm like, "Sweetheart, we are clueless, like, you just don't even realize it." But I get where you're coming from with the T like, so you went from Marine to Sub 2, and everybody knows what joining Sub 2 is like, it's drinking from the fire hose for probably at least 6 months, and so you found TCing, which it sounds like is cool, it's fun, but it's definitely not what you want because you were just as married to your inbox as you were before.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was just really high stress. I have greatly admired TCs because I know the work and the dedication they have to put in to really take things across the finish line and provide a good experience for their customers.
Yeah, and we were talking, like I said, off recording about people kind of wanting to micromanage some of the integrator roles, whether it do be in the systems or the operations, or in this case, even in TC. And I think TC, unfortunately, is a little bit more predisposed to that. So probably a good thing you got out of that role.
Well, it's cool too because I think where I was coming at it too is I'm an integrator, but in some ways, but in a lot of ways I'm also a visionary. And so I kept trying to think like how could I scale a TC business? And it just all boils down to like adding in more people in order to, bring in more files. Like it's all charged by files. And I think Pace did a training at some point in top tier TC where he's like, yeah, you could ask for equity and all this stuff, but that doesn't really come up that often. I think that's more of like the unicorn thing that comes up every once in a while. But
Yeah, it's
really,
kind of like bird dogging for a $10,000 fee.
yeah, and so I just thought about it. I was like, I don't even want to build a TC team. So if I'm not that passionate about it, I need to just not do it. So, and then I
Yeah.
switched to operations and I felt like, oh, maybe I can build a team of operators. And that is so challenging. I will tell you that. I went to the Boston retreat for Owners Club and I shouted from the rooftops, I'm an operator. Pace even like pointed me out in the crowd, so every person in the room knew I was an operator. Um,
Hmm.
and so I probably got on a call with about 50 people after the Boston retreat, which was in October slash the beginning of November. And I realized that 98% of them are just not even ready for an operator. They just need an admin assistant, but they were
Hmm.
misunderstanding the role in their business that they needed. And so it was just a great learning opportunity. I feel like it's a great part of the journey because now I can look at somebody's business and say, oh, this is more of what you need. And I have those 50 conversations to pull from to be like, and this is why.
Yep. That's very, very common. I've noticed that in the ops world too. Is they don't understand the different degrees of it, right? Because there's like you said, there's like an admin or an admin assistant, there's like an office manager, there's operations managers, there's operations directors or COOs, and they're like, "Well, I just need a partner that can do it all." And the biggest thing I see is there's a handful of people that are trying to hire operations managers on commission only, and I'm like, that's not how that works, sweetheart. If you think that's how that works, you're not ready for.
I saw a job post for that in sub 2 and I was wondering who would apply for a commission only operations role because that's a lot of work and you're putting in daily work and
You're
I mean
and
it's very
sometimes for long stretches too without pay.
yeah.
So nah, nah, because the visionary work, because I think you and I are similar in that regard. Like we're probably relatively equilibrium there and prefer the integrator work more than the visionary work, but have a lot of the visionary tendencies. Um, the visionary work, like like the sales and the marketing and all that, you have so much more control over whether money comes into the company or not. It makes sense for those to be commissioned. It doesn't make sense for your operators or your operations managers to be commission only. They don't have any control over the revenue that comes into the business or what happens to it, frankly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I have realized this year that I'm actually more visionary than integrator. I just have a ton of integrator skills. So how I'm pivoting that in my own company is I'm becoming the face of the company. So I'm doing all the sales and the marketing, where I'm putting people in place for all of the roles that I used to do. So like I brought in a project manager because I actually don't like project management, which was, a hard fact to admit because in my W-2, fun fact, I actually wanted to be a project manager. And I went to the CEO and I said, "Hey, I want to be a project manager." She shut me down, and I've held a grudge against that ever since. And I'm like, I would be a great project manager, but I guess maybe she wasn't the best leader, so I'm not going to say that she had the foresight to see that I just didn't enjoy the work. I don't think she was that, talented, but um,
Hmm.
I think there was definitely something to it. She was more afraid of me leaving the company, which I eventually did, just over other
Anyway,
things.
and that could be legitimate. That is the role of leaders, right? Is to spot those things ahead of time. Whether she did or not is another story, but I know project management is something that will burn out most people most of the time.
Yes. So for the project manager that I brought on, I'm still doing like half the project management. I've brought her on for 5 hours a week because she's still learning the business too. So it's a lot
Hmm.
of learning opportunities. She has the skill set, just not the knowledge base of what our clients are talking about a lot of the time. So as she gets up to speed on that, then she can come more into the business.
Is it just because of like the real estate lingo, or is it more because of the systems like
Systems
language?
lingo. Yeah, she comes from the corporate world and she has all of the amazing skill sets and she actually likes doing this kind of work. So that's really all I was looking for. I can train her on everything else and like the go
Mm.
high level talk and like how go high level runs. I mean, it's not something that can't be learned. So I'm excited for her to, get up to speed and be able to take more power in that role.
Oh, definitely. I mean, really anything as far as the language and the culture of an industry is easily teachable. Right now, the girlfriend's been asking me all the questions about real estate. She's like, "Hey, what's that letter that you submitted on that property?" And I was like, "A letter of intent?" She's like, "Yeah, that. Can you send it to me?" I was like, what do you need an LOI for?" And she's like, "Well, I'm hanging out with my family and I'm trying to explain to so and so what sub two is." So I was like, okay. So I gave her, yeah, I texted her basically my definition of what a letter of intent is and my definition of how sub two works and some of the benefits. She's like, okay, thanks.
I get that. Sometimes it's hard to explain. I tried to explain it to my family and they're like, yeah, that's definitely a scam.
Oh yeah, well, and that's the funny part is that there are people that maybe have bought houses before, but they're not like in real estate. And I've had this happen at least twice now where I'll start talking to them and I'll talk slowly and I'll explain as best I can, and then the eyes just glaze over. I'm like, that's it. They're gone. There's no thoughts up here. It's just head empty.
See, I've gotten that look all my life, so I've already learned to recognize it. With web development, I spent 10 years not talking about my career, and I don't talk about real estate either, but they understand a little bit more of real estate than they did about, my previous career. I'd be talking about stuff and then just lights off.
Just totally, huh? Just everything just shuts down.
Yeah, and like they're trying to be polite and like listen, but they're just like kind of staring at you, but not really.
Dude, it happens. It started when I started a business or when anytime I switched anything in careers, if it wasn't something that they were intimately familiar with, I just usually got the that's nice, dear.
Yeah.
You get the head nod, the like, okay, like I understand. You don't, but that's okay. So, okay, so you joined Sub 2. What made you wanna join Owners Club then? At this point, you're working in systems a little bit. You said you were doing some operator work, 'cause you mentioned shouting from the rooftops at the Boston retreat, which was just 7 months ago. So what prompted you to go from, from sub two to owners club?
Um, I think I was intrigued by Pace's amazing presentation last year. He got up and he was like, "Yeah, do you want to be an owner or do you want to be an employee in your business?" Like all that stuff. And I've always been really interested in owning businesses. Like I'm just more of a, I guess, business starter than a business acquirer. Um,
Mhm,
and I do better with like, oh, here's the strategy for a business rather than like, I don't know, some of the other things that people do. And I just knew I wanted to do bigger things. That was probably the biggest reason why I joined. And I don't regret it because the first year of Owners Club really helped me think bigger. And it let me embrace my visionary side because before I felt like I was put into a box of being an integrator and like I had to be there. But by being
mhm.
around a bunch of visionaries all the time, like I have just as big a vision as these guys. Like why can't I be a visionary too? Like it's such an interesting journey whenever you have both sides though, because you feel like you have to, I don't know, have to like identify with one side and stick there. And so I just like completely switched sides. At this point, like I don't even do much implementation anymore. I do it when I'm forced to, but I'm actually bringing on somebody this next week to do all the last remaining bits of my implementation work. I'm just going to be like the director of everything.
Yeah, I think it depends, like, so because I started a business before I knew what either was, and so I had to do both, and I had to acquire some skills on both sides,
Hmm.
and I just kind of navigated through it very clumsily, admittedly, but I was just navigating through it like, "Okay, well, what do I like doing? What do I not like doing? Like, what can I get off my plate?" And some of the things that I do wanted to get off my plate was, like, sales and marketing. Because having a little bit of both just feels a little bit ADHD in a way. It feels like you're going this way and you're going that way. It feels like you're kind of always in this push and pull. And you can do a little bit of both, but it's just finding what you enjoy, I think.
Yeah, and I like talking to people more than being in go high level, to be honest. At least these days. And I'm still in go high level more than I would like. But the other thing about Owners Club is it helped me find partners. So I actually started this year solo. I was still working with that guy as an operator, parted ways with him in January. And then I decided on this really large personal project, which I have set to finally be done with that like in July. But I started with this really large personal project. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to focus on this for a couple months. But then I got on a call on a Monday and met Benjamin Huang. And so he
Mhm.
became my first partner in this lineup of partners. Um, and it really changed how I look at myself and how I am like working towards my Mount Everest. I'm still actually developing my Mount Everest because I've only been working with him for the past 3 months. And then I've added three partners since Squad Up. So my second partner is my Owners Club partner. She's April Elias. And I'm working with her on AI, exclusively AI. And so we're doing a workshop in about 2 weeks. No, it's the end of next week, actually. So I'm flying up to Philly for that. And we're creating an AI incubator for building 100% AI businesses. So by doing that, we are learning all the tools on the market in order to build a business. And so we can do strategy with other businesses to be able to implement AI into their business. So having to constantly stay on top of trends, changes every week. But it's fun. It's something I'm really excited about and enjoy doing. Number three
Mhm.
is self-storage. So I partner with Becky Plaza Peace on that, and we are creating like a united deal flow for Owners Club that's nationwide. And so we're just getting really good at underwriting and are getting our tools together right now, especially, in light of the Discord launching in July. That's gonna be super exciting. And then number four is I partner with, now it's three other integrators in Owners Club. So Jamie White, Will Castillo, and Roz. So
Mhm.
we're combining forces to build out some systems, and it's systems that could work for every business. So we're still defining exactly what that looks like, but it's going to be something big and it's going to be something that can be helpful, and it'll also have an educational component. And since there's four people involved in it, definitely a lot of ability to be able to do custom implementation within those systems.
Yeah, it's gonna be intense, and because it's hard to make systems that are applicable in, you know, some businesses, let alone most, let alone all. So, I think that'd be really cool to see how that unfolds.
It'll probably involve some sort of a setup fee because a lot of times, there's CRMs and they have a ton of features, but it's like, oh, it's not really fitting my business. So it'd be like having an onboarding process for everybody where it's that slight customization that's needed for it to really fit their business and make an impact.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Sounds like you'll be able to have a lot of different options that you probably can go in and add from to a blank canvas to really tailor
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
'Cause Pod's in here, I know that's what he does with his GHL agency account, is he basically gives you a blank canvas and he asks you, "What do you want me to turn on?" And then he turns it on for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Pod was actually my first Go High Level account.
Yeah. Yeah, he said people usually don't know what their business should do or process, and he's right. Like I said, we were talking about that off recording, like, most people don't know what they need and what's even best for them. So it's good for them to seek out people like the 3 of us and say, "Hey, what do you think about this? If I wanted to do this, how would I get there?"
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of visionaries, they have that question, they just don't know who to ask. And they need a way to fill in the details of their vision.
Well, a lot of visionaries also have the, they have this, like, unicorn mentality that they think that everybody else is just as special as they are, and they're gonna be able to bring in and build their own little unicorn team. Because what I found is, like, because Chris and I have had the same conversation, he'll say, like, "Dude, they just want their system to do literally everything. They can come in and push one button, and it spits out a contract." And he's like, "That's not how that works." I said, "Well, yeah, likewise." I said, "But in operations, they do that too. They try to hire, somebody that's too skilled too fast because 'cause they're like" the example I always use was somebody said, "I want a customer care specialist, and I want a project manager." And I said, "Cool, which one's more important?" And he said, "Well, try to hire somebody that can do both." And I said, "No."
I think that works for some skill sets, but they have to be adjacent. Those are pretty far apart.
Right, well, and that's what I tried to explain to him was if we had built you out a flow like an org chart, right? And we said, like, "This is your top level, this is your mid-level, and these are your lower rungs." You this that department is all the way over here, and the other department's all the way over here. Like, those 2 things are nowhere near being adjacent.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to have an org chart in a business. Feel more organized.
It's so easy to make, and it doesn't take that much time. I've had to make a few of them for different people, but I don't know why they don't just take the time. And I think I know what it is. My theory on this is that people don't wanna make the org chart because if they see that they're in more than one role, they find it embarrassing.
It's so necessary though at the beginning.
Yeah, it's incredibly necessary, but think about it, like you said, you started off, with it just being you, and so if you had an org chart and Heather is here, Heather, 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 most people don't wanna confront that reality that they're the one wearing all the hats,
Yeah, but at least they can see the hat that they hate the most, and that can be their first hire.
which is exactly how they recommend that you do it inside of, email. Build the org chart, put your name exactly everywhere that it's applicable. The one that you hate doing the most, that's the first one you hire, and that'll free up your time.
Yeah, and you'll be a happier person.
Yeah, I think they also underestimate too, though, and I'm sure you probably could speak to this. Like, it's gonna take you so much longer to do the work that you hate. Like, you're gonna
Yeah,
procrastinate. You're not gonna want to do it. You're gonna fight yourself. You're gonna fight the work. Like, why are you even bothering with that on your plate?
that's why I brought on a project manager when I did because I was starting to hate the project management. I would put off responding to clients. And it's not that I was intentionally doing it. I was busy. It's just I would put it a little bit further down than what it needed to be. I'm like, I need to clean
Hmm.
this up. I need to have somebody who enjoys like responding to emails.
Yeah, it's hard for me to fathom that there are people that enjoy responding to emails.
They exist. You can find them in top tier TC.
I was gonna say they do exist. It's not me and it's not you.
I made a job post in top tier TC and it was amazing how many just like incredible people applied. I had a hard time choosing. I found the best fit for, my company culture, what I'm going for, what her skill set is, and I was like, man, this person seems so overqualified. I hope she's okay working with me. That's how good the people are though in there.
That's epic though. Like to be able to find somebody that not only fits the role, but can help you expand the role while fitting the culture. That I mean, that is a unicorn in and of itself.
Yeah, my second choice I actually sent over to my other team. So she's now working with my other team with Benjamin. So we're
Hmm.
expanding that a little bit because we needed some more operational help. Could probably like do that every time I hire. Right now I'm hiring for VAs, so I'm going to be interviewing those. And if I have a second and third choice, I have places to send them because every single one of my businesses needs this type of VA.
That's crazy. It's good though. I mean, I think between VAs and AI, where you'll be able to run just as big of a company as what used to be like a 100 employee company with 4 people, 5 people.
Isn't that wild? Oh, that's the perfect place, Pod. Oh my gosh. Let me know if you do. He said he might be building a VA biz in the Philippines. You're moving next week, aren't you? I'm sure you're
Keep us
super
posted,
excited.
Pod.
Yeah.
I definitely need a VA. It sounds like she needs a VA. I need I need somebody that can help manage me.
Yeah, I will do, guys. It's next not this Friday coming up, but the next one, the 30th. And I'm out and like we're packing up the house and everything's getting loaded up to ship out this Thursday. And then we're sleeping on the floor till next Friday. But yeah, that's kind of one of the things that I'm looking forward to doing over there is I've already been in talks with a couple people about getting a VA business up and going over there where it's actually US based, but like US presence will actually be there, not just through a Zoom, Zoom calls and stuff. So looking forward to that.
Nice, man. That'd be sick.
If you could train them to be AI VAs, that would be even better.
Well, so I was listening to a podcast the other day, Heather, with Billy Jean, because he kind of fell off the face of the earth for a little while,
He
and
did. He's
apparently
hitting me from like all angles right now. I see his ad like 5 times a day at least.
that's what it was. He apparently front loaded and spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars just with the best AI consultants over the last however many years. So now everything he's hammering on is AI, and that's where I got that idea from. Because he was saying that's what he's doing. He's training his VAs to use AI. So now one VA is essentially like a manager level employee, which was unheard of before, right? Like you used to have a manager to manage somebody else to then have them manage a VA. It's like no, now that VA is functionally almost like a department head because the VA running the AI is the equivalent of having like 20 employees.
Yeah, that's such a incredible opportunity. Like if you're not figuring out how to work with AI, like you're leaving opportunity on the table. If you like Pace was saying, oh, a VA company, that's not the best use of your energy, and he's selling off his VA company. If I was him, I would have just pivoted into AI because those VAs would be so much more effective.
Yeah. Could you imagine, especially if they learn the top like five even? They don't have to know the top 10 or 20 or 30 because AI is in everything now. But if they knew like, how to do like image creation and video creation, um, deep research, like the kind of basic stuff, they probably would just kill it.
I know quite a few people who would pay Start Virtual's rates for somebody who would manage the AI in their business because they just don't know. Like they're too busy to keep up with all the AI updates. So they're like, "Oh, I know AI is coming and I know it could help my business. I just don't have enough time to sit down to figure out how exactly it can help."
Yeah. What are start virtuals rates anyway? Like, let's lay that out for people. Like, what would that look like if we had a hypothetical firm here that you could pay a VA to run your AI?
Yeah, so I hired a Start Virtual VA back when I first joined Sub 2, so the rates are probably different because this was 2023. But I was paying, I think, around $1,200 a month for 30 hours a week for a VA. So not quite full time. And the reason why it's a little bit more expensive than hiring direct is because they have that manager level VA who is managing your VA. So they're actually the point of contact and they give you like weekly reports, daily reports, all that stuff. So I think how they explained it was like the manager VA makes like $9, or you pay $9 an hour and it's split between the manager VA and the actual person doing the work.
Yeah, they probably get like 5 and 4, 6 and 3, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and then plus the company has to get some, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, I don't see why not. Like I said, I'm trying to learn AI and how to implement it into my businesses, and it's hard enough because it that I do think you're right. I think that's gonna be like a bifurcation that we're gonna see really soon. Because there's the people that are good at running businesses, and then there's gonna be the people that are good with AI, and those two things are not necessarily congruent, but they can be. It's just gonna take partnership.
That's why I have an AI incubator right now, because I'm like eyeballs deep in this every week. Right now, I'm working on finishing up our pilot product, I guess you could say. That is complete 100% AI built. I'm doing a lot of vibe coding because I'm take bringing out my web developer. So it's the vibe coding piece, like to build a product through AI takes a little bit more knowledge right now than the regular, person without tech experience or tech background. Because I am having to go back and debug some code a little bit, but I'm not doing everything. I'm trying to put off as much as I can on AI, but still like move
Hmm.
forward with the project. I imagine in the next 6 months that's gonna be even easier to do. And I want to stay on top of the tools and the process and be able to vibe code at the best of my abilities. And as it's possible to build bigger platforms through this, then I'd be one of the first ones to do it because I'm in it all the time.
Let's talk about the incubator a little bit because we are starting to see that. I get the ads for like you can sign up for this AI e-commerce platform and sales will just come running in. Coursive has been a really big one. I know a lot of people that get those ads. So like, why are you just sitting at home? Why don't you take courses on how to use the top 20 AIs and you can become a millionaire? And they have mixed reviews to put it nicely. But how are you gonna be able to kind of separate yourself from all these other people that are obviously doing or claiming to have something similar that doesn't seem like it works very well?
We are actually building stuff. So this goes back to every other business model. Like Benjamin, one of the things with him is we're building out ownership code and we're teaching people how to acquire businesses, but you can only teach so far without doing the stuff yourself. So like we closed on a laundromat this past week. We're actually acquiring businesses. The same goes with AI education. You have to actually be in the products and building things all the time so that you can teach people more effectively. You can give the use cases of stuff that you've built. So there's definitely a lot of benefits of doing both at the same time because we want to do that
Mhm.
incubator and then bring out all of the best tools that could be used for different use cases, like in real estate investing businesses, and kind of repurpose them as things evolve.
Do you have a few AIs that you feel like right now are gonna become really big in REI in the upcoming future? Like I know chat's kind of being integrated into like GHL and stuff kind of on a native level. So is there anything else that you see that people should be using that maybe they're not already?
I think there's a lot of forward momentum on these multi-agent platforms. So like Manus is one of them. I'm in Manus almost every day. I get updates. I'm also in their Discord because it is a really interesting platform because they're combining all these AI models. So whenever you give it a complex task, it's not only able to search the web and do something through a single model, it's running it through a whole bunch of different ones and kind of figuring out which one would be best for this task.
So it
So,
sounds almost like how we have a whole bunch of social medias, right? Like,
mhm.
and so in the earlier days, in the Wild Wild West days, probably 2012, 2013, they started coming out with platforms to manage all your socials, right? Like you could post, one static post, one video, and it would go to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever you had. So it sounds like Manus is kind of like that. It's the platform that goes above the other platforms and will run
It
through
does, but it
multiple.
doesn't do a lot of automation yet. So I think for that, and I still have to get in and play with it, but one of my goals for the next week or so is to get into N8N because it takes automation to the next level. It's just a little more complex than like Zapier or Make.com.
Well, even Zapier and Make now have AI integrated in them because we did a Zap last week for my No One Left Behind team, and as soon as he started typing in, it just suggested it, and I was like, dude, this is so much easier than what Zapier used to be.
Yeah, they're trying to keep up. I think they just introduced something new. I haven't gotten a chance to play with it, but I think they introduced more AI tools within Zapier. So it's hard to keep up with everything. Like I'm on so many different tools update lists, and it's like, oh, ClickUp just added in AI deep research or whatever. Like that happened last week. Uh, so I mean, it's cool, but it's like, at what point do you do you really, um, I don't know, like, are you too updated or are you just in the weeds? Because it's like, what are the important updates? Because it's just more and more every week.
That's a really, really good question because AI is so pervasive now in literally every SaaS company. Like two of the biggest ones that I use regularly right now is Canva and Motion. And like everybody knows Canva. Canva's been around for fucking forever. It's the most basic design platform that you could use without having to go take like a whole bunch of technical courses on how to use fucking Photoshop. Like I'm not using Photoshop. Like not sorry about it either. But like they released a whole bunch of features. Oh, I just got the notification today that because they release it basically to their top users and then they slowly roll it out to everybody else. And so my girlfriend got she's one of the top users, so she got these features like 3 months ago. Everything from like docs to templates to new features to AI and image creation and stuff. Um, but like Motion's doing the same thing. Motion, I was looking at Martin as a companion app to Motion. And Motion, like right after I signed up for Martin, was like, "No, we're coming out with all those features, and they're gonna be native in our platform. You're gonna have docs, you're gonna have scheduling, you're gonna have like all kinds of crazy things that they haven't had for the last year, but I guess they've been working on it in the background."
Yeah, Canva's come out with a bunch of new AI tools. They just came out with or maybe I'm one of the later users. I don't know. They just came out with their sheets. Um,
Yep.
been looking at that and it's like, I wonder how much you can do with this, or is it just like a fancy little tables document?
I don't know. That's a good question because that Sheets is one of the features I was referring to. Like I said, the girlfriend got it 3 months ago. I just found out I got it this morning. Chris has a good point. At some point, you do find yourself just lost because there's just so much that you can't keep up with it all. Like even stuff like motion, I don't use to its fullest capabilities yet. But now I'm wondering, like, if they're coming out with like AI projects, because they already have projects. It is a project management tool, but if they're coming out with AI project templates, it's probably gonna be a lot easier for people to start to use, start to utilize.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot. I just have a couple that I'm trying to add in like a new one every week. So like last week I added in Lovable, and I can really see where that plays a huge role in what I do at our AI integrator. Like I have a major project right now, and I wanted it to be something that wasn't go high level templatey, and so I used Lovable to create the design, and then I had one of my integrators put it over into go high level, and it looks amazing. You can't even tell it's go high level. I showed it to the client on Friday, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you were able to do this in go high level."
That is, yeah. Go high level is pretty. It's nice for that reason. Like you were saying before, if you can code, you can make it do almost anything. Like ClickFunnels was kind of that way too back in the day, and I mean, I guess it still is, but I don't know as many people are using that now.
Yeah, I talked to somebody the other day, and they said they don't use they stopped using ClickFunnels when it came out with the 2.0 because they made it too complicated.
I mean, I could see that. It was supposed to be a simple drag and drop editor, like make your landing pages and your funnels in, just a few minutes. And I think when 2.0 came out, it was just too much stuff.
Yeah. I don't think I've even been in since they had 2.0. I was in it way back in the day. Still have my ClickFunnels t-shirt from probably 2014. Um, so it's definitely held up. It's good quality t-shirts, but I was always impressed by their marketing of that because you get the t-shirt if you do the trial. And I haven't seen
Hmm.
even to this day anywhere that does that except for ClickFunnels.
That I feel like as a business owner, what that tells me is that they have their numbers dialed in pretty well, because they know, like all these companies know roughly what it costs them to acquire a customer. And there are some companies like banks that are just too big that they don't give a shit. Like they know it costs them, say, $30 to open a checking account but they just don't care. They just spend the money because I mean, what do they have to lose? They do have a pretty high churn rate in the first 90 days. People will leave and they won't make the money back that they spent to open the account. But do you really think Chase or Capital One or any of those are actually worried about that? Like, probably not.
No. I mean, Russell Brunson has so much money, he's probably not worried as much about it either these days.
Yeah, probably not. But he does strike me as somebody that cares. Like he seems like one of the bigger business owners that's like, I'm building this for the client base for people to really get their start. Like the one funnel away was always interesting to me because it kind of reminds me of the same giving spirit that Pace has. Like, hey, you're just one deal away.
Yeah. There's so many different cool things to be taken out of the ClickFunnels model because he had that $1 million plaque that he gave away, the $1 million club. That was always like such a prestigious thing. It was really
Oh
cool.
yeah, 2 comma.
Yeah, the 2 comma club.
Yep. I think they eventually started something a little bit above that. So it wasn't 3 commas because that would be 10 figures, but it was like 2 comma plus or something for people that made 8 figures in ClickFunnels.
Yeah, there's people who do it. I worked with a couple who did that with back in the day when I was at the digital marketing company. So such it was always so cool because like, wow, you really did something.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
one
it's
a
intense.
candle company that did really well. Um,
Seriously?
yeah, she was able to put together a funnel, and it was like back in the mid 2010s. The copy was where you got your conversion. Like that was the biggest thing because there were so many like blah email copies and like if you had something a little bit flashy and like some cool copy, you're pretty much always going to get conversions because it was still like in the early years of emails or not early years, but like when people were really dialing in the email stuff. It wasn't as spammy as today.
Yeah, that is true. Everybody's got an email list now.
Yeah. Everyone's so boring. Like I like to bring in just a little bit of spicy into my my coffee just to be a little more interesting.
Oh, I'm interested to see how that plays out. Are you like just being sassy with them?
Yeah, a little bit. I actually had a meeting, a personal brand meeting last week. And
Hmm.
so we have a plan, but it's one of the things that she told me is like make sure your brand voice is dialed in and everything is the same across all companies that you own. So that's something I still have to work on because I haven't exactly dialed it in. It kind of has like a certain flavor across everything, but it's not completely dialed in.
I was gonna say that sounds easy. I'm sure it's not. I'm just spicy with everybody, so I would think it's easy, but who knows?
It's hard to do with your own stuff too. Like I'm finding like with REI Integrator, I started this back in like November and I literally just automated something like 2 weeks ago. Like that was a pretty major point in the business and I've been meaning to automate it for months, but my business is the last one to get automated.
Makes sense. Just like the landscaper never cuts his own grass.
Yeah.
You do it for enough people, you're tired of doing it when you get home.
Yeah, and it's like, do I spend this time or do I spend it learning something that could be helpful or like going out and talking to people? And man, I've spent the past like 6 months having basically 10 meetings a week with clients. I've been talking to everybody. Like people come to me now. It's like, hey, do you know anybody who does this? Because I've just talked to so many people. And I
Yep.
usually do. There's only a couple little like blind spots that I have.
That's the fun part about being a little bit of both too, though, is like you can be the implementer that everybody knows, but you can also be the person that has a guy, quote unquote, for everything.
Yeah. And Owners Club makes it a lot easier too, because I had those 50 conversations after the Boston retreat. I think that's what really kicked off my networking within Owners Club. And yeah, I know somebody who does most things and probably a bucket for each thing, like multifamily. Yeah, I got like 10 people for that. RV parks, got like 20
Hmm.
people for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. And then like the fact that Squad Up Summit now brings us all together every year. So that was one thing I really, really enjoyed was, some of the people I sat down and had lunch with last year, I had no idea who they were when I met them because I'd only been in sub two for like 3 months at that point. Like, I had lunch with Deron Levi last year at Squad Up Summit. I had no idea who the fuck he was. Me and him were laughing and cutting up and having a good time. I hadn't like not that it would have changed how I treated him, like, you know, but I had zero idea that he was a guy that was well versed in like multi-million-dollar ground up developments. No idea. And then this year he was on stage.
That's a great example.
Yeah, well, because I was hanging out with Jessica Roberts. She invited me to go get lunch with them at the sports bar at the Orlando hotel. So that's what I did. And it was like me, Deron, Liam Sutton, Sean Mendel, which apparently he's one of the bigger people in Section 8. And we were all just shooting the shit, just talking about borrowers and lenders and connectors and where all the friction points are. And We were having a good time.
It's awesome. That's one thing I love about the community of Sub 2. Like, no matter how big somebody gets, they're still open to networking with people. Like, there's nobody that's too small to talk to.
Yep. Some people are harder to get a hold of because their schedules are so busy, but I've never once found that they're too good for you.
Yeah.
Even Pace, I happened to catch Pace on his way to the auditorium or to the ballroom that we were in this year, and we were already outside. He was walking through the courtyard in the back, and he came up, shook my hand, gave me a hug, told me he was proud of me. I was like, "Oh, cool. Thanks, bro."
Yeah. He's got such a good memory. It's crazy. Like you won't see the guy for a year and he'll still remember the last time he saw you.
I've never actually gotten a chance to meet him face to face like that other than this once.
And he recognized you?
He recognized me from the Zooms, but him and I had also been DMing back and forth on Instagram. We had exchanged some emails at this point. So I asked him, I looked him in the eye. I was like, "Hey, do you remember DMing with me on Instagram about this problem?" And he was like, "Yeah, I remember." I said, "Cool. I just want you to know I got it solved, and this is what we're doing now. I run the New Orleans meetups and blah, blah, blah." And he was like, "Cool, bro. Like, I'm proud of you."
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's super cool.
Yeah. So much of the like to have a leader like that, just, have the culture trickle down from him. I don't think there's ever going to be anything else like this community.
No, definitely not, because there's so many people in the community, I think, that step up to lead because of the example that he sets. I don't think you're gonna see that anywhere else. Like, I don't think you're gonna see that in Reen. I don't think you're gonna see that in, some of the other groups that I'm in, even that are started by other sub two students, which is why I don't want to name them because I'm not trying to throw shade, but I think it'd be incredibly difficult to replicate. We'll put it like that.
Yeah, I've just coming from Reen into Sub 2, I was amazed at how he, has family nights and really like has conversations with people because the leader of Reen would have weekly Wednesday calls and it would be her talking to people. She wouldn't actually like have a conversation. It was just her kind of giving a speech. And I attended like two of them, but I didn't get a lot of value. It was more of like, oh, her just, talking up the screen. Pace is always like bringing in somebody else's problem and like solving it in front of people as a learning lesson, and it's so much more valuable.
Yeah, and he tells personal stories to help like relate. Like he really does try to do a lot, I think, to lead from the front, which
Mm.
is vastly different from how most people do.
Yeah, for sure. Looks like we lost Pod.
That happens. He was in a bad service area anyway. I saw the little yellow bars and I was waiting for him to fall out. Pod's good people though. I always found it a lot of fun because at one point when he was doing the integrator unite calls real heavily, I kind of got wrapped up in it, and, like, even though I wasn't leading the calls with him and Rachel, like, they would ask for my opinion a lot, and we kinda saw that at the integrator roundtable. Um, it felt good because you and I were able to kinda give a little bit of insight on both sides.
Yeah, for sure. So if you have any ideas for and I think the integrator calls have dropped off the ones that Pod were leading. I want to bring those
Mhm.
back whenever the Discord server launches. I'm going to be leading the integrators channel. So with that, there will be the ability to be able to make like weekly or bi-weekly Zooms. So I definitely want to add it into the calendar that we're building and figure out some initiatives. I know somebody brought up having like an integrator directory. I feel like that would be super helpful for both integrators and for visionaries to be able to find people to work with. Like, there's so many benefits. It'd be kind of like the operator list that was really only released to Owners Club, but
Mhm.
This would be more of like a self-made directory, and you can kind of say, "Oh, here's my skill." Maybe it could be skill level. I don't know. We could maybe jump on a call and like plan out that maybe in July whenever the Discord just launched.
I think we could do a simple directory that is auto-populated through Google Form to Google Sheets, like what they do with the Sub2 directory,
Hmm.
and we could come up with some different categories of integrators, and that way they can pre-select which one that they fit within. So we could have like systems TC operator, um, yeah, I mean, that's probably the big 3 because operator and operations are more or less the same, just depending on, I guess, how you slice it.
Yeah, I think we could probably come up with some avatars. I think just defining, having more definition, um, because people don't even know the difference between an integrator and an operator. But I feel like they're completely different. And I try to explain it to people, and I feel like it's not the same explanation that Pace and Molly gives.
Because I feel like they are and they're not different. Like, I feel like one is within the other, like
Yeah.
most operators are integrators, but it's not to say that all operators are integrators.
Yeah. It's just maybe it's not even integrators, it's just more here's these people that's inside of this big bucket.
Pace's definition of integrator is also shit. Like, I've talked to several people that are in Sub 2 that are EOS implementers, and they're like, yeah, what Pace says is nothing. That's like an admin, or it's like a systems architect, but it's not strictly speaking like an integrator.
Yeah, I definitely want to put some thought into this and figure out something because, like, with new people, it's so interesting whenever you join Sub 2 and you see the avatars, and the only thing that fits you is the direct to seller integrator avatar, which is what I felt fit me. And so I felt like I had to do wholesaling and I had to do direct to seller in order to even fit into the community, and that's not the case at all. So I think having
Yeah.
a lot of this definition figured out would help so many new people that are joining the community to figure out where they can plug in and how they can even market themselves to find that role within different teams.
That's a good point because they had it as direct to seller integrator, which is very, very specific. I felt almost homeless by that because I was like, I am an integrator, but I used to actually tell people I was allergic to wholesaling because I wanted nothing to do with it. I always wanted to do bigger, better deals in wholesaling. Always wanted to do like multifamily businesses and RV parks. I had no desire whatsoever to do wholesaling. The only reason I do anything close to wholesaling now, or any wholesaling at all, is because of No One Left Behind.
Yeah, and I feel like that's just not very explained. Like, you feel like you have to do wholesaling if you're an integrator, and the other types of businesses don't have a place for you, but they totally do. Like, if you're running RV parks or acquiring RV parks, like, you need that operations level, or you might need some systems, or
Mhm.
all of the above. You need that, but it's just not conveyed very well in the sub 2 education.
Yeah, I think what we could do is break out different, integrator avatars, and maybe the avatars could also be somewhat reflective of, like, experience level. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Because, like I was saying before, you do have COOs, and you do have operations directors, and you do have operations managers, and you do have office managers, and those are all distinctly different. So I wonder if there's a way that we could come up with avatars that are kind of like that, right? Because if I tell you I'm a COO and you tell me that you're an office manager, we're not the same. We're
No.
not on the same pay scale, but under PACE's definition, we're both just integrators.
Yeah, that's true. And then, like, for me, if I was going to be anything other than a CEO, I'd probably be a CTO, um,
Right.
not a COO. And so, like, there's that scale too of like, how technologically inclined are you? Can you even manage systems, or do you need to bring in yet an additional team member, for both the operations and the systems? because people think they're
Yeah.
both all the same and it's just one team member. And like they're hiring the operators from top tier TC, and they're like trying to figure out the systems because most of the time operators don't know systems.
No, they're not built for systems. To them, the systems are the teams and the culture.
Hmm.
That's the systems and the processes. Like that's where I shine best, and that's why I'm on this No One Left Behind team. Because even though we have two TCs, and our TCs within the NOLB challenge are also labeled as operators, they're not operators. They're TCs. I'm the operator. I'm the one that herds the cats. I'm the one that hosts the meeting. I'm the one that jumps down everybody's throat when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like, I'm the one that has to, unfortunately, sometimes field really stupid questions. Like, why doesn't this link work?
Yes, I did that for a couple of months because our December team lasted until like March maybe, and then it kind of just died off. But I was the cat herder for that team, and I got tired of it.
Well, our team was formed in December too, and we just kept it going.
That's awesome that you've been able to keep it going this long. Because there's so much to that. You have to constantly be refreshing momentum or refreshing motivation or like having team calls and getting everybody's energy up. Like there's work to it. And if you just leave
Yeah.
it, then it'll die.
For us, what made the biggest shift, I think, was we started doing what we call office hours in the middle of the day. So before we would do like a coaching call, we would do a full team meeting, a leadership meeting, and we would do like a closer call or something like that. There'd be a whole bunch of separate meetings, all on different days, all on different times. But we just opened it up to, since we can't do it in person, it's just Monday through Friday on Zoom, 11 to 1. You can come in and get whatever kind of help you need. And I'm finding ways to like refresh it and make it a little bit more exciting. So like tomorrow we're gonna start with like breakout rooms. So there's gonna be like a boiler room where the coach is just gonna be in there, just like Pace does on his Zooms. Like I'm gonna send the freshman into the breakout room with the coach, and I'll probably be in a different room with the closer, working with him. And we'll just go back and forth. Or maybe we'll take them out of the breakout room so they can hear the closer make a couple calls and then send them back or do whatever. Um, but yeah, we started out that way because there was four Louisiana teams, and each one had such a dismal show rate that we just combined all four teams to make one team. So I had to pull all the cats together for that one.
Yes, I pulled together 5 teams, and that's no easy task. It was 5 Georgia teams, and it still ended up dying off. I think we started off with about 50 members, and that decreased to about 20 active ones. Lost our operator, so I became the operator, and um, our coach pulled through pretty solid, but then he got pretty busy. And yeah, just everybody got busy. Like it's hard to like stay consistent at something for so many months. So kudos to you.
Yeah, our closer's an owners club, so that's been the hardest part because he's been busy and he will be busy in June for y'all's retreat.
Hmm.
But we simplified a lot. We basically eliminated the rainmaker position altogether. The coach just pulls a list and they're cold calling the list as opposed to LOI blasting with bad data.
A good move.
It it made things a lot simpler, and I feel like it's building more skills in the freshmen. We have less freshmen show up as active, but I mean, you gotta trade off somewhere.
Yeah, but I mean, imagine they find more people than trying to do the LOI blaster method where they feel like you could be spammy.
Oh, it was definitely coming across as spammy, and like I said, the data was all off. So the only people that we were getting that were raising their hands to the LOIs were either the data was not accounting for reductions in the listings. So we were technically sending them LOIs for above their asking because they had just reduced it by like 5 or 10 grand. Or the other option was that it would not calculate the equity percentages correctly, so we'd get hybrid deals, and we don't want hybrid deals right now because it would just take up too much time for the closer to structure all that.
Yeah, for sure. So I sent out LOIs with very vague data. I didn't include any hard numbers because I've never trusted the data from that because I mean you're relying on prop stream or deal sauce or whatever you're pulling the data from to be accurate on your numbers and then to just not even check it before sending out offers.
Yeah, that's why our coach has been a wholesaler for like 8 years, so he just enriches the data himself through a bunch of filter stacking. So we're finding people that would fit the sub 2 box really, really well, and most freshmen, if they're diligent, can get to a contract in probably about 20 conversations.
That's awesome. That's a great conversion rate.
Yeah, it's just getting them to show up and make the fucking dials.
Yeah.
'Cause they're like, "I'm just gonna make, like, 4 calls today, 3 calls tomorrow, 7 the next day, 11 the day after that." And they don't realize that, like, all of these KPIs, like, they trickle down, right? Like, you might make 20 dials, but you're only gonna get a 50% answer rate. And of that answer rate, you're only gonna get so many that are even gonna give you the open window to send the LOI, you know?
hmm
But we do have all that built into the script, so, like, basically what'll happen is they'll call you, they'll say like, "Hey, Heather, I'm looking at your listing right here on 123 Main Street. Um, what's going on with it? Can you kinda catch me up to speed?" Find out what So usually they build a little rapport, find the motivation, and then they have a segue or a transition where they're like, "Yeah, my partner's a numbers guy. He, made a cash offer, but it doesn't look like the cash offer is gonna work because there's an existing mortgage on the property. Is that right?" They say, "Yeah." We They text a screenshot of the LOI to the agent and show them like, "This is what we're offering." And, of course, a bunch of them see that and they're like, "Ah, it's sub 2," like, dismiss it. But the ones that don't, yeah, they, it helps them get to a contract much faster.
That's awesome. That's probably what my team was missing because they're like, we don't want to call from the list. Aren't LOIs supposed to be sent out? So they're expecting the agent to receive the LOI. Probably just a matter of expectations and how the challenge or the teams actually run. But they were definitely expecting LOIs. So I was like, well, let me just go in and send out LOIs.
Yeah, well, the expectations are always off with things like that. We had, um, the last couple rounds of onboarding new freshmen when they'll give us new freshmen. Half the time, they don't even get the emails that we send them, and I'm like, "How are you not getting the emails?" Like, it's my domain email, like, it's not a spam email, I don't send any emails out with on a list with that email. And they're like, "Oh, I don't have it, I don't see it." Um, we had this last round, the last couple, we've had just lots of user error. "This link's broken, that link's broken." It's like, "It's not, I'll send it to you again." Click it. Get in Slack and Trello. That's all you need.
Yeah,
But I
being
do
just
think, yeah, we should do that. We should definitely do something. So I was gonna tell you, some integrators are much more analytical too, because like CFOs are more integrator roles too. So we could totally do some stuff in the Discord, do a weekly call, and try to come up with some avatars that would break out like probably skill level and inclination, whether it's towards like operations, analytics, or tech.
yeah, underwriting would fall into that as well.
Definitely would. I feel like underwriting would fall into that analytical bucket, like a CFO,
Yeah.
because that just makes my head hurt. But my friends, like one of my buddies, Johnny, that's all he does. He just looks at spreadsheets all day long. He's like, "Dude, isn't this exciting?" And I'm like, "Bro, I think watching paint dry is probably more exciting."
Well, I guess if he's getting the numbers he wants, it's exciting. Otherwise, it's frustrating. Um,
Right.
Yeah, I'm super excited about the Discord. I just got access to it last week. It's launching to Owners Club on Monday or tomorrow. So it's launching to Owners Club tomorrow. I'm helping with this launch. I'm the the one and only member of the Discord committee.
Wow, that's intense. That's a big role.
It's really cool because I can help shape how some of the stuff's running. Um, And I think I've already given Rich, the president of Owners Club, given him a ton of ideas. So I think he's gonna recruit me to help with some of those, and that includes the calendar, which is one thing I'm very passionate about. We definitely need a calendar that's, people, because it's combining three communities in this Discord. So there's gonna be, I think Rich said 27,000 people in this Discord. So for them to all have access to some specific like Zooms related to these different subject matters because there's a ton of different things in there. That'd be amazing just to have it all in one place.
Yeah, definitely. Especially so, like the way they have it now, Google Calendar is so nice because I just added the Sub 2 Zoom calendar to my Google Calendar, so it pops up on my motion. And I actually took that same idea and I created an NOLB calendar with all of our team meetings, and I put that link in our onboarding document. So step one is that you add the fucking calendar to your calendar so you don't miss a meeting.
Yeah. And I heard word that some of the semester stuff's going to be moving over too. So that'd be interesting. Like some of the communication around that. They do have a lot
Mm,
of the roles locked down. So I'm sure you still have to go through the sign up process and everything. But it would be cool to be able to have like a chatting place for semesters.
yeah, like individual Discord channels for each semester or something as they're going on.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really cool. But yeah, I mean, 3 communities, that's a lot of people.
A lot of people. So that's all going to happen in July.
So we're
Um,
looking at owners, sub 2, and top tier in one place.
in Gator.
So I guess that's 4.
There's four, but I think majority of Owners Club is already in at least one.
That's fair. Yeah. I think almost all of Owners Club, at least the ones that I know personally, are in one, if not more than one.
There's probably about 10 that's not in any other community. I know it's
That's
crazy.
impressive.
Like, why would you skip steps and go into Owners Club? But yeah, I know there's at
Ye
least a few.
Well, I know one person in particular I'm thinking of off the top of my head that was not in any community, went to sub 2 last year, signed up for Owners Club and sub 2 on the spot.
There's several people like that. I'm like, how the heck are you doing this? This would be so overwhelming.
Overwhelming both, like, mentally and financially, because that's a good little commitment.
Well, I think the people who sign up for Owners Club at Squad Up, they get a discount for sub too. So that's why
Probably, but even still, like, that's a good little chunk of change.
it is. Some people just
I'm not
have
gonna
more
say how much it
flexibility.
is, 'cause I'm sure that'll change next year, but
Yeah, I think they're trying to push it up a little bit every year.
it makes sense with the amount of value that they offer.
Yeah, because the people this year, so it's been an interesting year to start. Um, because the year two people get access to all of the year one stuff. So that's, and then they're like trying to catch up on a whole year's worth of content before the June retreat, which is in 1 month. And so they're trying to figure out their Mount Everest, uh, dial in their calendar, figure out all their money making activities, and like all the things that we went over last year. So we have these pods now in Owners Club, which is actually a really cool concept because it offers support for all the new people and it takes it off
Mhm.
of the Owners Club staff. Otherwise, they would probably just get a gazillion questions. But we have like these support pods. So there's three people from the first year that lead a group of about 20 from the second year.
That's intense. I wonder how easy it'd be to do that in an integrated community too once the Discord launches.
Well, what I was thinking about, because I don't know how many people are actually interested, so it might not even be that big of groups, but I really want to launch an orbit program for REI Integrator. How I'm going to do that is I'm putting in all the foundational pieces. So the higher level integrators, the strategic person that's hopefully gonna start next month, and having the client work be able to flow in, and just be able to bring in people, kind of put them through a training of here's more like some scenarios, build it out in this Go High Level app that I've given you, and we'll see how you did. And they get to learn Go High Level because a lot of newer integrators that I talk to, they're like, hey, I think I would like this, but I'm actually not familiar with the platform. So I was like, well, that's
Mhm.
pretty foundational for being a systems integrator because almost everyone has Go High Level right now.
Yeah, or some variation of,
Yeah.
because everybody has their own white label at this point.
Yep.
So I know a little bit about what the Orbit program is, but we haven't really talked about it before in the podcast. So why don't you explain to people, if you were to launch an Orbit program, what that would look like for you? Like, how would they apply? What would they do? Where would they go? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I actually built an entire snapshot for Owners Club. There's a couple of people that are using it. So they would come onto my website to apply. There would be probably about a 20 question application form, and it's really just to get a gauge of like who you are, what your goals are, why do you want to join this team, etc. I like to put in like a link for a video, a little quick video action so you can get an idea of who somebody is before talking to them. And then that's also pro tip, that's also my test to see how much effort you're putting into this because I've opened up 2 positions in the last month and probably only 20% of applicants did that video intro. And those were the ones
Yeah.
that I was looking at the most. Um, and then based on that application, decide whether you're moving forward, interview, if you work as a good culture fit for the team, bring you on. And then there might be some sort of mentor program, especially as I build up my team for people who, are more experienced, and that would also help the project manager to not be overloaded on questions about client work. They could just go to their mentor and say like, "Oh, how would you do this?" Then they would be able, after they go through their training, which would be like, okay, here's what this role entails. Here's the basic systems that you would work in. So go high level, maybe Zapier, maybe um, couple other ones, and then build out these things for these like 2 to 3 fake businesses. And if you do well in that,
Hmm.
and that's also a filter because one thing that Pace has taught us is let the work be the filter. So that's I don't know how many orbit programs are running on that mentality, but I like for mine to run on that mentality because I have a lot of people who get really excited and they say they're going to do something and then they just kind of like lose that excitement and then they don't do anything. So if you're not even
Hmm.
going to do something within that training, would you do something if I gave you client work that has a deadline? So it's, a test, and then I can also gauge their skill level from that too.
That's why I like the application being the first round of filters.
Hmm.
Like you were saying with the video, that's just a basic, can you follow instructions? Like yes or no. And if you can't upload a video, it doesn't have to be great. Like I think you and I both understand that most people are a little bit shyer. Like they're a little bit more averse to wanting to be in the spotlight. Us having that visionary tendency, we're able to do stuff like this, like hop in a podcast or be on Zoom and speak to people or run a round table. Like we can do those things, but I don't think you're judging them on their stage presence, more simply if they do it or not.
Yeah, and it's more of like a tiebreaker if there's two really good applications and there's limited, interview availability. The person who has the video might, win. Well, also depending on skill sets, because my integrator round actually had very low videos coming across, but they were able to more clearly state what their skill level was because it's very much a technical skill. So it's like, oh, I know this programming, or I know how to do this and go high level. Whereas the operator role, I was more interested in those videos.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the operator role has to be a little bit more personable too, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
she's awesome. She did a video, the one who got the role, and I was like, I saw her video, and I was like, I have to interview this girl. Like
mhm.
that's just and I so by watching that, I actually interviewed her same day, like a few hours later, because she was able to fit it into her schedule too. But that just by her providing a video made me have urgency to interview her.
Yeah, I'm gonna be curious to see how many integrators find their way into the Discord channel. Because like I said, I think there's a lot of people that are they're they're predisposed, I would say, to those roles because of maybe skill sets or mindset or whatever, or just personality. Um, but if there's 27,000 people that are gonna be on Discord, from what Traction says, integrated personality is about 1 in 4. It's about the equivalent of being left-handed. So that would still be about 6,750 people between all those communities that would, in theory, qualify or be qualified to be in the integrators channel.
That'd be amazing. I know there's a lot in Gator that I have never I'm not in Gator, and I was posting on my personal feeds for all of these roles that are opening up, and there was a guy who actually applied for it from Gator. Never heard of him. I think it was more of like he had heard of me through Squad Up, and so
Mhm.
he was following me. But yeah, I think that's so exciting because right now I couldn't even tell you 10 integrators off the top of my head. Like you would be one of them. And Pod would be one of
Yeah.
them. That's already two.
Well, I feel like I could maybe name 10, but that's only because of the top tier. I know a lot of TCs, and so they do technically fit in that integrator
That's
bucket, but
cheating.
it's not that's what I'm saying, it's not the same. Like, there's me, you, Rachel Schwartz, Pod, and Ryan Love, but the 5 of us were really prominent in the integrator community before because the other 3 ran the Integrator Unite call.
Yeah, for sure. I think just having a place to gather and to chat is going to be game changing for just this little subset in the community. I'm so excited about it.
I think so. I actually got a comment yesterday about our roundtable and how helpful it was.
That's awesome.
Yep. So, um, someone posted in JJ's group looking for help in the Baton Rouge market, and Carlin Hostert tagged me, and so I replied to it, and somebody that was at our table told the person that made the post in the beginning, the author, that they definitely needed to connect, that he met me at the integrators roundtable and that everything that we talked about was super helpful to him and would provide a ton of clarity.
That's awesome. I feel like there's a lot of people who need that clarity. I guess they're just kind of stumbling around in the dark because there's no resources that's provided to them.
Oh yeah, more often than not, they just need permission. They
Yeah.
really need the permission to let go of the old limiting beliefs that they had and to go and pursue the thing that they're about to do, even if they know they're gonna suck at it because it's new.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I have a list of people for my orbit program already, and that's what before like pre-Discord. I'm hoping to have the orbit program completely set up by the time Discord launches, because I think that's where we're going to get the most traction as far as even finding out who's the integrators in the community, because none of them ever talk.
No. No, I do find that a lot of people lean too heavily into the dichotomy of the integrator visionary, and we talked about this at the round table, that like they use it as a crutch. The people that think that they're integrators are like, well, I'm just so shy, I'm so soft spoken, you just don't understand. It's like, no, I understand. Like, speak up, speak louder though. Like, you can get yourself out of your comfort zone. And likewise, the people that are visionaries are like, "Yeah, but I'm just so disorganized, LOL, like, too busy being a visionary."
I hear
Like,
that all the time.
whoopsie. I always compare it to, like, the people that make fun of the astrology people, and you know what I'm talking about? Like, "Whoopsie, I hit another curve today. I guess it's so hard being an asparagus."
Asparagus. Yeah, I'm just so excited about it. Like I did a couple Discord trainings for the moderators and I was trying to convey my excitement to them and I don't think anybody really understands how big of an opportunity this is and what Creative Campus is going to be because it's gonna like I was in the old Discord. It was a little chaotic over there. They're trying to streamline this a lot more to where it's actually really valuable for each of these areas. Like if you want to go and do RV parks, there's a channel for that. You can reach the top dogs in the RV park like just because they are running the channel. They have the resources for you. You can go as far as you
Mhm.
want because there is no excuse because you have the tools.
Oh, definitely. I was in the old Discord too, and I never was a big fan of Discord because most programs I've been in that were in Discord were just disorganized. And to me, it just felt like a more complicated version of Slack. But I mean, I think if they streamline this, this would be huge for a lot of people.
Yeah, they're definitely working on streamlining it, and they have more like subject matter experts that are leading these channels from Owners Club, which is really cool because a lot of them are killing it. They already have like existing portfolios or businesses or whatever it is their channel is about. So they're definitely able to like be that guiding light for people who are just starting off.
Mm, that'd be huge.
Hmm.
That'd be great though. Like you said, just the ability to be able to reach somebody that quickly and that easily. Because before, like the big dogs were in the Facebook group and they were on family night, but you didn't always know who they were. You kind of had to like navigate the community and find out. Like I would have to go to Heather to find out who is the top integrator or whatever. That was how I found out about Chris. Was I was like, who even are integrators? And somebody was like, "Oh, you don't know about the integrator night call?" And I was like, "Huh?" It's like, "What's that?"
Yeah. Yeah, I was joining that for a while. It's great. I just most remember your presentation on what was it, Hexamatic? I was fascinated with that.
Well, we never ended up. So we had a couple of projects that we scoped out with it, and it it's still really good. I think that eventually that's going to get some AI implementations too. Right now, it doesn't have any that I'm aware of. I have a lifetime membership, so I go in there and I dick around with it sometimes from time to time. But it it's going to be interesting to see, and I think that's where we're going to see a big push in REI with AI is going to be with the data. Because like Hexamatic can scrape for data, it can crunch data, it can like export data, it can do data entry. There's a lot of things it can do, but because it's built like the way that it's built is a little bit cumbersome and it's easy to kind of break something in your little script. So I think once it gets some AI updates and some implementations there, that's gonna be huge.
Yeah. I mean, you can already do some data scraping through AI. Not as, complex as what you could do through an actual web scraper, but it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'd be interesting because when I first started using it, it had no AI steps that you could add to your process or to your scripts. And then they started working with Chat 3.5. So now that the AI models are getting way updated, I'll be interested to see what new like what new script steps they put in there. Because I'm pretty sure they added like Midjourney. I know they had Chat 4, so they'll probably have like the Chat 4.0 and the Chat 4 Turbo or whatever. I'd be curious to see if they start integrating the other ones like, maybe like Grok or um any of the other big AI language models that are real popular out there right now.
Hmm. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
I'm
I'm
glad you remember that though. I was nervous as shit to do that.
really?
Yeah, and now I have a podcast.
That wasn't even that long ago, was it?
It was like a year ago.
It was a year ago. My goodness.
Yeah, it was like February of like 24.
Oh my gosh. I think that was one
That
of the last calls I attended of the Integrators Unite.
that I think has been the funniest part about joining the communities is that like so sub 2 has just continuously pushed me out of my comfort zone constantly. Like if we would have had a roundtable at last Squad Up Summit, I don't know that I would have been as active and integral like with you as I was. But through like getting up from people spotlighting me on Zooms and Pace spotlighting me on Family Night to presenting on Integrators Unite to starting what was only supposed to be a Zoom mini series that turned into a fucking podcast 46 episodes later. Um, Here we are. Now I got a YouTube channel and all kind of other shit.
That's so awesome. And especially to be more on the, the backside of the business where it's like, oh, you're not so much in the spotlight, but for you to have stepped into the spotlight as much as you have, it's really cool.
Well, it's kind of funny because my friends don't believe me when I tell them I'm introverted. They're like, "No, the fuck you're not." They're like, "You're out there doing all of this shit. What are you talking about?" They're like, "You shook hands with Pace." And I was like, "But you say that like I wasn't scared to death when I did it." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like when
Pace
he
is a little intimidating whenever you first meet him.
well, what's funny is when I met him face to face, I felt completely confident and calm and in my zone. Like, I just looked him right in the eye and we made eye contact, and it was just like 2 men meeting for the first time. But, like, I remember getting up on family night, and he spotlighted me in front of 1,900 people. That was scary.
I'm sure I haven't done that.
He brought me up on the spotlight when I completed my first raise.
Oh, that's cool.
I got somebody to commit, like, 70K that was in the community to a deal that I was working on being a connector on, and he brought me up, and I told him that, and he was, like, over the moon, but I said that in front of, like I said, nearly 2,000 people.
That's crazy. Yes, I'm sure that was a little nerve-wracking.
Well, and like I said, the Integrators Unite call had a couple dozen people on it too, and all eyes were on me.
But you did great. I thought you had been doing this like for years.
I'm glad you did. I remember talking to my buddy Johnny after that. He's like, "Yeah, you looked like you were sweating a little bit there." I was like, "Yeah, I kinda was." It was fun though, we had a good time, and like I said, I still keep up with Pod. He actually built a CRM for one of my businesses, so I have a Podimation account too.
That's cool. Yeah, I that was my first Go High Level account. He helped me out on that. I actually met him for the first time probably 2 months after I joined Sub 2. Because we're local. So I met him at a meetup and I think I talked to him for like a solid hour and he just kept giving advice. And I was like, "Oh,
Yep.
you're so helpful."
Yep. Yep, he drove through New Orleans on his way to Phoenix to go handle some family affairs, and I told him to meet me at a coffee shop, and he texted me, "Which one?" So I sent him the wrong address because I was driving. And then he texted me back, or he called me. I'm sitting in the coffee shop waiting for him to pull up. He's like, "Did you mean to send me the coffee shop that's inside of a gas station?" And I was like, no. My bad." Yeah, he's good though. We sat down for about an hour and had coffee. It was great. I got to meet his wife and his 2 girls.
That's awesome.
So we'll start to kind of put a bow on this, but the next thing I kind of want to ask you is what's next for you? What's big in the world of Heather? We've talked a little bit about the Discord. We talked a little bit about kind of being a front runner, especially in integrator space. So what kind of new exciting projects are you hoping to release?
I think we already talked about a lot of it. So I just jumped into a bunch of partnerships at the same time. So we're just in like build, build, build mode um, on everything pretty much. Tomorrow I'm finishing up. Um, we're actually releasing a creative business acquisition community under Benjamin. So I've been working on that and the course is all built out. It's kind of like the PACE method, but we're gonna have like a lot of things echoing sub 2 and basically like what zero down I think could have been to some
What's
degree.
supposed to be?
Yeah, but then pull it over into a separate community and then just be able to offer a ton of support to people because this is something that we're doing every day. And so we can provide a lot of value to people. Um, and then the first AI product is coming out soon. The AI workshop at the end of this month. Um, well, we'll be having a self-storage workshop at some point this year, and then a creative business acquisition workshop. I think that is scheduled for like the first weekend in September. Um, and yeah, just building, building, building. I'm in such build mode for everything. I have just like paused my Mount Everest because it kind of got annihilated whenever I started working with all these people. And I'm like, I don't know whether to make it bigger. Basically, the gist of it is that I want to help a million people through building a platform for businesses to help businesses. So whether that's through REI Integrator, I mean, I'm already helping a business. He came on earlier this month as a client, and just through him, help like easy 10,000 people. He works more in like the construction space, and he's working directly with cities to help homeless populations. So that's probably shooting really low. So like to even already have something out the gate that's meeting some of that 1 million, it's like, am I even thinking big enough? Now I gotta like go back to the drawing board, figure out like what's a bigger vision that I could have.
Or just do like Pace and have multiple Mount Everest?
Well, it kind of is. That's why mine's really loose because I have all of these partnerships. So I'm building Aria Integrator as my team of implementers. So it's the foundation for everything. And then I have these four other businesses that are all with partners that are kind of on top of it, but can flow business back into it eventually. So
Hmm.
like even for self-storage, that could be a self-storage team that, helps you value add and operate your self-storage business because most of that is systems. It's systems and then maybe paying like a property manager for smaller facilities. And then whenever you get up into larger facilities, there's more involved. But for the majority of the acquisitions, it can just be like just a small team. And then for the integrators, I mean, that's going to be some custom work coming down the pipeline for business acquisitions. We're planning on doing systems and integrations for acquired businesses. So for people within the community, they will also flow back into ARIA Integrator to that team. So that's why I'm building up this team because there's so many different things. Like also for the AI piece, custom work could come back onto the REI Integrator team if the AI team isn't big enough. So everything I'm building is like this layer on top of ARIA Integrator, and I'm focused right now on just building everything up.
It's an ecosystem the same way that Pace has built more than one community.
Yeah.
That's funny. Zero Down's what sold me into getting into sub two. I had no interest in real estate.
Oh, it's
And then they didn't do
interesting.
and then they didn't do anything at all with Zero Down.
Well, if you're interested in business acquisitions, that's all we're focusing on.
Actually, yeah, that's what I was looking at was different because I wanted to grow my small business that I have here in New Orleans through both vertical and horizontal integrations.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who Benjamin was until this past squad up. So I saw that and I saw that he had basically a whole board. And I was like, damn, that would have been cool to get involved in.
Yeah. He's got a lot of stuff going on. Like we have meetings for ownership code 3 times a week, and every day it's just like, oh, let me add to the task list. Let me add to the task list. So that's why I'm bringing on a VA to help me with my partner stuff too. Like I'm gonna have them help me with a lot of the implementation stuff on the side, and then like for the self storage, there's still a lot of stuff I need to build out there. and AI stuff. I mean, there's always stuff that could be worked on there, but probably not at that level. That's more of like the
Mhm.
supporting. Um, yeah, it's just there's so much work. It's overwhelming, but I'm feeling better than I have in months about it because I've been definitely overwhelmed.
Oh, there definitely is. There's always a mountain of work. I've got the shortcut for Motion on my phone. I'll just type in like, uh, remind me to do this and just creates a task in my calendar. And then I have to remember to actually go check my calendar so I can start, you know, knocking things off the to-do list.
Hmm.
So as we kind of, like I said, as we kind of put a bow on this and we tie it up, one, well, first, before I do that, let's do this. Go ahead, plug whatever you have, like as far as where can people find you? How can they reach out to you if they want to work with you, JV with you? Maybe they want to contact REI Integrator. What does that look like?
Yeah, so if what size is this? That's my Blink card. If you could scan that. But if I guess the thing that I would be plugging right now is I actually just started last week doing a weekly office hours. So this is to channel all the people who have questions or just need like a quick bit of help about their systems, their processes, like whatever they want to pick my brain about. They can come in on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, and you can find that on reiintegrator.com and sign up for office hours there.
I thought about doing that too. That's a really cool concept.
Yeah, I had about 10 people attend the first one, and I've got about 50 people signed up to get, the schedule updates.
Nice. Yeah, that's beautiful. And so the final question that I ask everybody that comes on the podcast is, you're sitting across the table from a brand new investor. What is the one piece of advice you would give them that you wish you had?
Don't be afraid to pivot. You're not locked into one thing. As you can tell from my story, I have pivoted probably more times than most. But it's because I go into something and I say, "Hey, I don't enjoy this. I got to find something else." So there's a gazillion things you can do in real estate. If you don't enjoy what you're currently doing, don't be afraid to change it up. Like just stay
Hmm.
like I know people say stay consistent, but if you already know you don't enjoy something, don't try to stay consistent. Just change it until you find that thing that you enjoy doing and then stay consistent at that.
Yeah, just also make sure you consistently don't enjoy it. Because some people just hate it on the first day because they are so bad at it. So it's like, I always tell people, give it a trial run. Like, make sure that you're like, okay, no, I hate this. This sucks. I'm showing up. I've been doing this for 30 days. It's not getting better. Then dip.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah, like I spent 6 months in one thing, 10 months in another. Like I definitely gave it more than a trial period, and I was in it long enough to even be able to speak as almost like I wouldn't say I'm an expert in anything. I would just say like, hey, I can speak to like a gazillion different things because I go out and I try
Hmm.
stuff. And so that's
Right.
why people like to pick my brain because I have like 100 different angles I can tackle something from.
I feel that. I kind of have that jack of all trades, master of none um, mentality too. And people come and they're like, but what do I do about this? What do I do about that? And I'm like, I got you.
Yeah, it helps, especially whenever you're doing strategy stuff. Like if you are leading overall strategy, I feel like the jack of all trades, master of none is the way to go because you can look at something from five different angles before somebody's even considered the first angle and be able to present it all and say, okay, what path do you want to go down? Does this align more with your vision rather than this path over here? Because you're just able to look at it in so many different ways.
Yep. And I feel like that saying is so misunderstood to begin with. They say that a jack of all trades is a master of none, but the real thing is, which is still better than a master of one. Like, and I believe Sun Tzu said it in the Art of War somewhere too, that like the best warrior is not the best warrior with a single weapon. It's the warrior that can pick up any weapon and be effective.
That's what I feel like in my business. 'Cause I can do sales if I'm forced, if I have a gun to my head, I could probably do sales. I'm not the best at it. That's probably my least skill. Everything else I'm pretty decent at. Sales I suck at, except if I'm like selling something I believe in, I guess. I can't just go and
Hmm,
talk to sellers though. But I can speak on it because I've studied it because I'm just so bad at it. I wish
fair.
I was better at it.
Yeah, yeah. I could. Well, I guess it depends. Like you said, it depends on what we're doing sales on. Like if I was selling REI Integrator, that's one thing. I can get on the phone all day. But if we're just doing, or even selling for my companies, I can do that. I don't necessarily enjoy it. It's not my top priority, but I can do it well. But yeah, I'm not talking to sellers. I don't even like talking to agents.
Same.
Like anyone on my NOLB team will tell you, they're like, that's why we don't have him making calls because he's an asshole.
Well, it's not so much that. I feel like to be in sales, you have to be really good at like telling little lies and like embellishing and making things seem so much better than it is. And I suck at that because I'm a very straightforward person, which really helps in my sales calls because I just tell people like, "Oh, that your idea sucks. You should go with this one instead." Not in so many words, but I'm more comfortable to do that, and it's not so much a sales tactic. It's more of like, "Hey, I want to genuinely help you because you're going in a really strange direction right now and you probably need to like course correct." And it works for this business. For real estate, it wouldn't work so much. You can't be super direct.
Well, at the end of the day, I feel like the genuine intention to help is the best sales method. It's not a tactic, it's not a ploy, it's just what you should be doing as a business owner. And not everybody does that. But I will say that because I'm that way too. I'm very direct and I'm very blunt. And people appreciate that. They appreciate the honesty and sometimes even just the candor of like, no, I flat out would not do that and you're wasting your time. Um, but you're right. Real estate people can be a little soft sometimes. They can't always handle it.
Yeah, that's true. I just feel like the sales method for there's so many different tactics for leading up to something. Like you have to do the soft pitch and then like the anchoring and then the this thing and this other method and there's like a whole thing to it and I'm just like I don't like being so tied into this conversation, but I, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't do
I
any
don't
of
like it.
that.
Yeah.
I don't do any of that. I don't bullshit them. If like, I think my thing is I don't have the patience. If somebody's trying me, because this happened with a broker, the broker, I asked her for the financials on an RV park, and she was like, "Well, who are you? You said you represent investors. Like, I need to know more about you before I just send you financials." And I was like, "Well, you're the like, why are you worried about wasting your time gathering financials? You're a broker. You're supposed to have all this stuff already. If you did your job, it would have been in the Crexy listing. I could have signed the confidentiality agreement and gotten it, but you didn't do that." So when she was like, "Well, I'm not just gonna send it to just anybody." I said, "Well, I'm not gonna buy a fucking park on a pro forma either, lady." She didn't like that one too much.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little crazy.
I'm a little crazy, so it works. It's all brand.
Yeah, same.
My brand voice is consistency.
Even in conversation.
Like I told you, just spicy across the board. Whether
Yeah.
you like me or not, here I am.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do appreciate that. Like, I have people who want to just ask my opinion because they know I'll give it to them straight.
Somebody told me the other day it was a new sub two student I did an operations call with, and he said that I appreciate your calm and honest demeanor. That was how he phrased it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought so. Well, cool guys. Y'all know how we do these. I do these live every Sunday. So the only thing that we ask is that if you enjoy it, if we bring you value, if I made you laugh, if we made you think, brought you some kind of value, that you join us next week and bring a friend. So until then, I will see everybody next week.